one of the best ever to play the quarterback position in the National Football League, has called it a career. Former Denver Broncos QB and University of Tennessee star Peyton Manning officially announced his retirement from the NFL on March 7th, 2016. He first grabbed the spotlight while playing for the Tennessee Volunteers. During his time in Knoxville, Peyton Manning won 39 of the 45 games he started. It didn't take long for NFL scouts to realize Manning was a special player. Over 18 seasons of playing with the Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos, Manning won 2 Super Bowls. He passed for an NFL record 539 touchdowns. He threw for an NFL record 71,940 yards. And no quarterback has ever won more NFL games than Manning, who captured his 200th victory when the Broncos defeated Carolina in Super Bowl 50. But after 18 seasons, Manning realized it was time to move on. He announced his retirement to family, friends, and media members on Monday, March 7th.
I had met him once before, but when the game was over, I had a chance to shake Johnny Unitas' hand. He told me, "Peyton, you stay at it. I'm pulling for you." Well, I have stayed at it. I've stayed at it for 18 years. And I hope that old number 19 is up there with his flat top and maybe his black high tops on. And I hope he knows that I have stayed at it, and maybe he's even a little proud of me. There's just something about 18 years. 18 is a good number. And today I retire from pro football. I want to thank the people of New Orleans and South Louisiana. New Orleans is my hometown. And of course, they support their own team, the Saints, but they also support their own. And that city and state have backed me from the start. Almost 19 years ago to the day, I announced my decision to forego the draft and stay at the University of Tennessee for my senior year. It was one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. I cherished my time in Knoxville, especially my senior year. And I want Vol fans everywhere to know the unique role that you've played in my life. Thank you to the Indianapolis Colts organization and all of the fans across this country. You can't fathom how much I enjoyed my 14 years there, or the warmth that my family feels for you. I'd be wrong not to mention Jim Irsay, Bill Polian, some great coaches, support staff, and a host of wonderful Colts teammates, many of whom will be lifelong friends. When I was drafted by the Colts, Indianapolis was a basketball and a car racing town. But it didn't take long for the Colts to convert the city and state of Indiana into football evangelists. We ended my rookie season 3-13. And in the process, I set the NFL rookie record for interceptions, a record that I still hold today. Every year I pull for a rookie quarterback to break that record. Andrew Luck, Matthew Stafford, Eli Manning, Cam Newton. I still kid Eli that he would have broken it if he had started all 16 games. In the beginning of my time in Indy, the team's struggles were agonizing. My grandfather would call me weekly to ask if his favorite announcers, John Madden and Pat Summerall, will be broadcasting our game. Pawpaw, I'd say, we're only 2-8 right now. We're playing the 3-7 Bengals. Madden and Summerall don't broadcast those kinds of games. Fast forward to my second year when we had gotten things going a little bit. We were playing the Dallas Cowboys, including Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and Deion Sanders. I called Pawpaw. Guess what? Madden and Summerall are broadcasting the game. He said, "I can't believe it." He was elated. He was very proud. And we beat the Cowboys that week. And we let the world know that the Colts had arrived. Make no mistake about it. We were coming. And we went on to do some phenomenal things, like winning at least 12 games 7 years in a row. And of course, winning Super Bowl 41. And I was truly honored and proud to be a part of it. There's a saying that goes, treat a man as he is and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he could be and he will become what he should be. When I visited Denver 4 years ago, if John Elway had sat me down and said, "Peyton, here's what we're going to do. We're going to win over 50 games, win 4 straight division championships, lose only 3 division games in 4 years, and none will be on the road. We'll beat the Patriots in 2 championship games. You're going to win NFL Comeback Player of the Year, another MVP. Your offense will set single-season passing records. You'll break a couple more all-time records, and we'll go to a couple of Super Bowls. I think I would have taken that deal.
Area high school football coaches remember Manning as one of the best ever to play the game.
I think the main thing to take away from Peyton Manning's career is not just the stats and things that he's achieved on the field. I feel like the way that he presents himself when he loses or when he wins, his attitude, the way he approaches the game with his work ethic, his dedication, I think those have taken him far. You know, I think he is the epitome of an athlete as well as a role model. And I think not only for my generation, but for any generation, he is a great example for someone to follow, to watch and try to follow in his footsteps and the way he behaves himself.
A lot of experts, so-called experts anyway, would say that his preparation was second to none. Probably nobody was ever at the quarterback position was ever as well prepared as him. Would you agree with that?
I would, you know, just from the things that I've heard, you know, the way he did prepare. You know, I think a lot of times that Peyton Manning had a lot of great attributes, but at times he may not have been the best player on the field, and he was able to make himself the best by his preparation and his work ethic.
Did you watch this year's Super Bowl, and if so, how would you grade his performance in his last game ever?
I did. You know, I think that speaks volumes for him. You know, he's someone that prepared himself throughout his career to be able to achieve that goal on that particular night. You know, again, that night he was not one that was going to throw for 400 or 500 yards. You know, he knew his limitations, and he used his attributes for the betterment of the team, whether that was calling a run play or getting them out of a bad situation on a play call. And the valuableness that he brought to that game is invaluable, and I think a lot of those things go unnoticed sometimes.
He played 18 seasons for 2 different NFL teams. A lot of folks say he changed the game maybe at the quarterback position. If so, how do you think he did that?
You know, I think so. I feel like what we're talking about, it's not always the live arm. It's not always the most accurate pass or the one that can throw it the furthest. You know, I think that he brought a mental aspect to the game that maybe had been neglected in years past. You know, a lot of times the most athletic individual may be drafted at the top or whatnot. And they seen a good young man in Peyton Manning, and they see what he brought to the table outside of football and knew that would roll over to success on the football field.
Do you think it'll be a little sad when the season starts in September and we won't see number 18 out there anymore?
Well, sad, yes. Joyous at the same. You know, I think you have to praise what he's done. You know, I think in a sense it may have been sad if he would have suited back up, because I love the way that he finished, and only heroes and legends go out that way. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be in Canton one day wearing a gold jacket. I think he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. He played many seasons, probably 6 or 8 years ago he was already a first ballot Hall of Famer, you know. So I think no doubt he'll be missed, but I'm sure he won't get too far from the game.
The biggest thing as a player in the NFL, you know, the thing I saw recently in the media is him taking his kids to practice with him, and his kids coming up on the podium, post-game interviews with him and that kind of thing, and that means a lot. You don't see that a lot in professional sports anymore. They spend so much time preparing for the game and preparing in the off-season and doing those things that I think family sometimes unfortunately takes a back seat, and meant a lot to me. Not a Peyton Manning fan, not a Tennessee fan necessarily, but you know, I've grown to respect Peyton Manning for the things that he does, what he's brought to the game, and just you know, putting his family first in the things that he does and incorporating them in his career. Outstanding player, you know, intelligent player, coach on the field. You know, I remember him beating Alabama a lot when he was at Tennessee, and you know, he's just good for the game. He's one of those guys that's a good quality character guy. You know, he's good for the sport altogether. He's one of those guys that stayed, got his education, and you know, has been fortunate to make a career out of playing football.
What kind of qualities do you think he had that kind of set him apart from most of the other NFL quarterbacks?
I think just his preparation for the game, being a student of the game, looking at film. I think he definitely made defenses more accountable in the NFL, and I think you talked to a lot of those guys, and some of those guys that I've heard speak on that topic. They had to do a better job of disguising coverages, of mixing up things tendency-wise, down and distance, and of course they're so athletic in the National Football League that field's pretty balanced for the most part. It's much more scheme at that level than it is a few athletes beating a couple teams here and there. But I think he definitely held defensive coordinators more accountable for their schemes down and distance wise and things that they're going to do. Turned into more of a chess match for the defensive coordinators.
Do you think he possibly changed the game, maybe even just a little bit, maybe at the quarterback position after playing 18 seasons in the NFL?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's up to expectation as far as I think he's definitely in the conversation with Joe Montana, Tom Brady. I think those guys in whatever order you want to put them are 1, 2, 3. And in my opinion, those are the 3 best quarterbacks to have ever played the game. And I think like I said, just being able to check things at the line, being able to come up and be a coach on the field in that position. Of course, a lot of people want to play fast and play up tempo and go no huddle, and he did that some throughout his career. But even when they weren't snapping the ball really fast, a lot of guys that play up tempo, they want to snap the ball within so many seconds of it being spotted. But he'd come to the line, get a check, go through a dummy cadence, see what kind of adjustments he's going to get, and then put him in the best situation by play call.
You think it'd be a little sad not seeing him on the sidelines when September gets here for the first time in 18 years?
It's going to be different for a lot of folks that have enjoyed the game, and like I said, I've grown to respect him for what he does and enjoy watching the chess match that he plays week in and week out. But I say he'll be involved in the game in some capacity. A guy like that, loves the game of football and has had great success in it and has a lot of talent for it. I'm sure somebody's going to find a good spot for him to help them be successful in their organization.
There's a scripture reading, 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight, and I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Well, I've fought a good fight. I've finished my football race. And after 18 years, it's time.
Chances are, whatever he decides to do in the future, he'll be just as successful as he has been as an NFL quarterback. Reporting in Lafayette, Barry Hyatt, NCTV.